Okay, surveys. Right, there's lots of different types of surveys. You can have a postal survey, you can do a personal interview. So postal surveys, send the surveys out by post. Personal interview, sit down beside someone and ask them the question. Telephone survey, ring them up, right, okay, and ask them. Observation, don't ask them anything, just stand and observe, etc. Right, and there are advantages to disadvantages to both. Right, so postal survey, if you posted someone a survey, advantage, it's relatively cheap. Right, you can, another advantage would be you can get lots and lots of people to complete your survey. Right, okay, disadvantage, well, I know if I saw a survey coming through the door, I'd put it in the bin, so that's a disadvantage. Right, personal interview, you sit down, you interview someone. Advantage, it's very hard to lie to someone. You're more likely to get the truth, because it's very hard to lie to someone's face. Disadvantage, it takes an awful lot of time. Right, telephone surveys, right, where you phone people up, random phone numbers, and you phone them up. Advantage, again, it's relatively cheap because you don't have to travel around to meet all these people. Right, disadvantage, they can lie. Right, they can hang up on you. Right, you really don't know who you're talking to. Observation is maybe you wanted to see what was the most popular item of food sold in the shop at lunchtime. Right, you could actually go down with your clipboard and stand beside the counter and tick off every time a chicken roll was bought or a sausage roll or whatever. Right, okay. Advantage of observation, it's accurate. Right, you'll get the correct answer. Right, okay. Disadvantage is very time consuming. Right, you can write these in, and under each one I would if you write down an advantage for yourself and a disadvantage for yourself. Okay, right. Questionnaires. So questionnaires is where you ask people questions. Right, the people who answer questionnaires are called respondents. Okay, so if you answer a questionnaire, you are a respondent. Okay, there are two ways to do your interview. You can do your questionnaire. You can stand beside the people, read out the questions, and you actually physically tick the boxes, etc. Right, or you can hand out a sheet of paper and people write in the answers themselves. Okay, there are advantages to both. Good questions, right, when you're writing your questions for your questionnaire, good questions are short and concise, okay, straight and to the point, no waffle, just straight to the point, what you want to know. Start with the simple questions, because even if you have to ask complicated questions, if you put the complicated question first, people are more likely to give up and not answer your questionnaire. Right, make sure your questions are not personal, as in, don't ask a person, did they ever steal? Right, don't ask a person their age, etc., because you're not going to get the right answer. Right, use response boxes where possible. So response boxes, girls, are if you give people options. How often do you go to the cinema? 0 times per week, 1 to 2 times per week, tick the box. 3 to 4 times per week, more than 5 or more times per week, something like that. Okay, right. And finally, your questions should not be leading. Okay, so do you think young people spend too much time on social media? So basically, I'm giving the impression, right, that I think they do. So you know, I'm kind of putting it into your mouth to agree with me. Okay, a designed experiment. Right, you can do, instead of a survey or a questionnaire, you could design an experiment, right? So this is where you carry out an activity and record the results. So you might toss a coin 100 times and record your results. You might, what else could you do? You could pick a card 50 times and see which card comes out, etc. Right, okay, if you're doing a designed experiment, right, sometimes you need what's called a control group. Now this is especially relevant for like a clinical trial of a drug, right? So it's important, right, that you have a control group, and a control group are people who don't get the drug. So you'd give 100 people a placebo, which is looks like the drug but there's no drug in it, and you would give 100 people the drug and you will compare the answers. Okay, so that's a control group. Right, explanatory variable and a response variable. Right, this is the explanatory variable is the thing you can't change, the thing you don't change. So for example, if you were checking out to see does people age affect how fast they run 100 meters, so the controlled variable or the explanatory variable is the person's age. You can't change that, okay, and they can't change that, okay. And the response variable then would be you get them to run 100 meters and you time them, right? Okay, so that's the end of section 10.2.